Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, January 20th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. And we begin with the rise and fall of Omicron. While the spread of the virus may be starting to slow down in San Diego week after week, COVID-19 hospitalizations have continued to climb. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman has a look at where things stand now.
We are still currently very full. We have 350 patients in the hospital right now with COVID.
Scripps Health Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ghazala Sharif says right now they are discharging patients as quickly as they can. She estimates that if they did not keep pace, numbers would be more comparable to last winter's surge.
Some of our staff that's in the ambulatory setting in the clinics have really just raised their hands and said, come on, we'll come in and we'll help you if we can. And they're pulling extra shifts to come in and help us on the hospital side. Otherwise, we would not be able to keep up this pace.
State data shows 1,300 San Diegans are currently hospitalized with COVID-19. That's compared to about 1,800 this time a year ago. Scripps Health on Thursday had 54 positive patients inside the intensive care unit.
And 45 of those are on the ventilator. So the saying that Omicron is not that dangerous, I think, is a dangerous message to send when we still have that many people who are on a breathing machine. 80% are not vaccinated still, though.
Scripps officials are estimating that hospitalizations will peak within 2 weeks, but with more than 350 COVID patients admitted right now, other surgeries are being canceled daily with emergency cases being prioritized.
And that's tough because we know that if you delay care, patients can get sicker over time, and then that causes another backlog.
The demand for COVID-19 testing is still high. To help meet the need, the county is expanding access. They just opened another testing facility at the Palomar YMCA up in Escondido. Officials are asking people not to come to emergency rooms looking for tests.
Pretty much everything out there is Omicron, right? So if you're not feeling good, just stay home. Don't run the risk of infecting somebody else, even if it's just a runny nose. You don't want to take that risk with anybody else right now because you don't know what you could do to the next person that you spread it to.
The state health department says those who are unvaccinated are 6 times more likely to be hospitalized after a COVID-19 infection. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And today marks 2 years since the first case of COVID-19 was confirmed in the United States. It happened in Washington state just 2 weeks after the novel coronavirus was first identified in China. And since then, more than 68 million people have tested positive across the U.S. And the infection has claimed more than 855,000 lives. Isabel Rosales reports on the new trends and the stark warning from health experts to not let down our guard.
Is the Omicron wave waning or cresting?
We should not assume that the pandemic is over.
The answer depends on where you live.
Nationally, we have peaked. I think infections are going to come down.
Right now, 14 states across mostly the eastern seaboard are seeing a case drop by at least 10% compared to last week. But 26 other states saw cases go up by at least the same amount.
This pandemic is nowhere near over. And with the incredible growth of Omicron globally, new variants are likely to emerge.
Health experts predict most states will be past the Omicron peak by mid-February. In those harder hit states, no rest in the high-stakes battle against Omicron, even in the classroom. New Mexico's governor set to become a substitute teacher, launching a licensing program to help with the severe staffing shortage.
I expect that by the weekend, I will be cleared and I will be available to support a school.
To its east, police officers subbed in for elementary school teachers in one Oklahoma school district.
All right, Mr. Jones, we're going to go ahead and start with your face here, all right?
And it's back to school for this Black Hawk helicopter mechanic.
Where's your radial pulse?
Members of Wisconsin's National Guard are becoming certified nursing assistants to help support busy hospitals and nursing homes.
It takes a team to fix a helicopter. It takes a team to
keep the hospitals running.
In Washington, Isabel Rosales, KPBS News.
The Biden administration is giving $103 million to healthcare workers to help promote mental health awareness and fight burnout. Health and Human Services says the money is funded by the American Rescue Plan. Some $28 million will go toward establishing, improving, or expanding programs to promote mental health and well-being. Another $68 million will go toward tailored training development within the health profession. Hundreds of 911 experts are in San Diego this week to learn about new technology and find solutions to the issues they're facing during this pandemic. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado says COVID has left many dispatch centers understaffed and overworked.
Harris County 911, what's the location of your emergency?
When you call 911, you assume someone will be there to answer the call during your hour of need.
Staffing is going to be a big problem.
Hundreds of dispatch center leaders from across the nation are meeting in San Diego for the annual conference of the National Emergency Number Association, or NENA, and the pandemic is on the forefront.
There's never been anything like this in our lifetime.
That's April Heinze, the 911 operations director with NENA. She says during this pandemic, being there is becoming more and more difficult for our first responders.
Overwhelmingly, the average 911 center, staffing-wise, is down about 30%, all the way to very large 911 centers in urban areas that were more than 50% staffing crisis.
She says because of this new normal, virtual technology is on the cusp of becoming mainstream to help more dispatchers work from home. But it's not as simple as it sounds.
Because there are certain things in the 911 center that you really can't recreate in a virtual environment. You really have to have great cybersecurity, good broadband connectivity for those virtual environments to work.
Lori Brown, a dispatch supervisor from the Indio Police Department, says it's critical they attend these conferences that keep them on the forefront of new technology.
We are no longer in the days where your 911 call is connected to a telephone central station and then delivered via a phone line to the dispatcher.
Brown says everything from apps to cars can now communicate with 911. Her department provides safety and emergency operations for one of the most famous music events in the world, the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival. They're already planning more efficient ways for over 250,000 music fans to access their 911 system in the future.
We'll be able to draw a geographical boundary around the concerts and say all 911 calls that happen within this geographical area we want to ring to our command post at the concert as opposed to going back to the center.
Heinze says while this pandemic has been challenging, it's also been a time of incredible learning and innovation for the industry that will benefit many generations to come.
We will be so much better prepared if for some reason something like this happens again.
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
The Better Business Bureau is sounding the alarm about unauthorized pop-up COVID testing clinics. Coming up on Evening Edition, what to watch out for that could put your health, your money, and personal data at risk. San Diego County Sheriff Bill Gore's surprise announcement that he's retiring in 2 weeks has led some to fear he was trying to influence this year's election. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has more.
Gore was appointed sheriff by county supervisors in 2009 after his predecessor also retired early. That appointment gave him the advantage of incumbency when he ran for a full term in 2010. Some were concerned Gore was orchestrating a similar plan to get his endorsed candidate for sheriff, Kelly Martinez, her own interim appointment. But Martinez quickly said she wouldn't accept that post. Political strategist Ava Posner says that will make the election more fair.
It wasn't too long ago these elections weren't even challenged and people didn't even know they could vote for sheriff, let alone having a true choice in the matter that hasn't already been predetermined by a small group on the Board of Supervisors.
Gore has had a long career in law enforcement, working 32 years at the FBI. Supporters credit him with reducing recidivism in jails and improving the process for issuing concealed weapon permits. But critics say he's failed to address the high rate of inmate deaths in county jails. The San Diego Union Tribune editorial board wrote Wednesday more than 150 30 people have died in custody due to poor health, suicide, overdoses, and homicide since Gore became sheriff. Some cases reflected egregious callousness from deputies toward inmates suffering drug withdrawals or lacking the medicine they needed for severe medical conditions. County Board of Supervisors Chair Nathan Fletcher says the vote to appoint an interim sheriff will come in March, after the filing deadline to run for sheriff. A handful of candidates are running for sheriff, with Martinez and retired sheriff's deputy Dave Myers emerging as frontrunners. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The Chula Vista Elementary School District has a new superintendent tonight. He comes from outside the district, although he has deep South Bay roots. KPBS education reporter MG Perez has details on the search and the man appointed to the top job.
I believe we made the best choice for our district.
With that, Wednesday night, the Chula Vista Elementary School Board voted unanimously to name their new superintendent. He is Dr. Eduardo Reyes, currently Director of Human Resources in the neighboring Sweetwater Union High School District. He is also a former teacher, ready to deal with teachers in the Chula Vista District who have been working with an expired contract since late last June.
Learning happens in the classroom. It doesn't happen in the district office. It happens in the classroom. So we want to make sure that they have good working conditions and that the contract is respected.
Dr. Reyes is a familiar face in this district, first as a parent and then as a former school board member. But it's his connection to Sweetwater Union that some say complicates his new job assignment. Chula Vista Board President Lucy Ugarte and board members Cesar Fernandez are both teachers in the Sweetwater District, where Reyes has been head of human resources for more than a year now. Reyes resigned from the Chula Vista Board in order to apply for the superintendent position. He sees it this way.
The practice of going from one district to the next is a common practice. To be honest with you, my goal and my focus is on teaching and learning.
Parents we talked with who brought their children to the district's COVID testing center this morning are frustrated with the current administration and skeptical about the new superintendent's appointment coming from the troubled Sweetwater Union District.
I feel like there were a lot of people who said explicitly they did not want someone from Sweetwater. We cannot continue pulling parents out of the workforce.
And that's happened to you?
Yes.
What is the situation for you and your family?
This is the second time I've missed work as a result, just this week alone.
As the superintendent of Chula Vista Elementary School District, my only focus is ensuring the best for our students at this district.
There are more than 28,000 of those students for Dr. Reyes to support. He begins his new job February 22nd. By the way, the district's official public announcement and press release did not include any mention of the Sweetwater Union High School District. MG Perez, KPBS News.
And the San Diego Unified School District is planning a one-time community event for public input on the two finalists for superintendent. One is interim superintendent Dr. Lamont Jackson, who has been with the district almost 30 years after growing up as a San Diego Unified student. The other candidate is Dr. Susan Enfield, who is currently superintendent in Highline Public Schools in the Seattle area.
The community input session is now 90 minutes versus the 60 that was planned prior. And the students will still have two sessions in which to talk to the final candidates.
It will be held at Wilson Middle School in Normal Heights starting at noon on Saturday, February 26th. Reservations are encouraged and can be made on the district's website. California regulators are holding off on considering a proposal that would upend the state's solar marketplace. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says the delay likely means changes to the controversial plan are in the works.
The California Public Utilities Commission delivered grim news for the state's solar installers last month.
It's so bad.
Bernadette Del Chiaro is the executive director of the California Solar and Storage Association.
We think the proposed decision, the bones of it are so rotten
that it will not hold.
The public agency recommended slashing how much homeowners are paid for electricity generated by their rooftop solar panels, and it proposed a steep increase in grid access charges for a typical solar customer, about $60 a month. The plan essentially negates the financial incentives for homeowners to pay thousands of dollars to add solar panels to their roofs. Solar industry advocates say the changes could dry up demand for the green energy option and throw thousands of solar installers out of work. And that got solar workers to a rally in Los Angeles last week. The message was aimed at the CPUC's satellite office in L.A. The solar workers, like Revamp Energy's owner, Jay Cutting, says his brown and black workers need the support of commissioners.
And we would hate to see all the hard work and progress we've made been killed by this bill and this solar tax. So we came to show our support and say, save our jobs.
But the commission isn't the only target. Solar industry backers have worked hard to get the attention of Governor Gavin Newsom, and hints that their campaign is working came when Newsom answered questions about the proposal during the unveiling of his proposed budget earlier this month.
That draft plan was recently released. I just had a chance to review, and I'll say this about the plan. We still have some work to do.
When asked again later during the event, Newsom was vague, but did suggest the proposal would not survive in its current form.
But I think my answer says, well, at least responds to the latter part of your question. Do I think that changes need to be made? Yes, I do.
A recent development suggests change might be coming. The CPUC failed to put the item on its January 27th agenda after planning a vote for more than a year. It is unclear if the issue is just being pushed back a couple of weeks or longer.
Well, there's no question the commission needs more time on this.
Solar industry backer Bernadette Del Chiara is not ready to call the delay a victory, especially with the commission in flux. The CPUC president has only been in office since the beginning of the year, and another of the panel's 5 seats remain unfilled.
It is unprecedented, the shakeup of the leadership of this commission right at the 5-yard line of one of the biggest decisions they will have made this decade.
San Diego Gas and Electric has remained quiet on the issue since early last year. The utility called the process sensitive and told KPBS they would not be commenting until after regulators make their decision. But utility-backed groups continue to run ads on social media.
A flaw in state law is forcing Californians who can't afford rooftop solar to subsidize wealthier homeowners who can.
And they have surrogates making their case. Kathy Fairbanks runs the utility-funded group Affordable Energy for All.
It's unfair. And, we understand why the solar industry is objecting to these reforms. It means cuts to their profits. It means cuts to executive salaries and bonuses. It means cuts in their shareholders.
Meanwhile, solar industry backers say it is utilities that are motivated by greed. Regulators will make the final decision. They've changed the solar market once before, making only minor tweaks after a more sweeping utility-friendly proposal was rejected. It remains unclear if that will happen again. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Glad to have you with us here on KPBS News. I'm Marvin Gomez. Let's talk about conditions for San Diego County in the upcoming days. Today, it was a nice warm day, a little bit warmer than yesterday. And then moving forward, we're going to keep those warm conditions in place. Now, the wind is going to be a problem across the higher terrain, and that is going to be starting tomorrow afternoon and lasting all the way in through Saturday afternoon. And that is why most of San Diego County across inland areas, over the mountains more specifically, that high wind watch is in effect. Santa Ana winds are going to be whipping, and that is because of a system that's going to be farther inland. I'll get to that in just a second, but first, let's talk about the quiet conditions for tonight. Along the coast, temperatures will be cooling down to 41 degrees across Oceanside. In San Diego, the downtown area, 49, and farther inland, temperatures in Mount Laguna will be dropping into the low 40s as well. Here's a quick look at our Friday. It is dry and mild for most of California. We're staying with breeze crazy conditions, especially again over the higher terrain. And heading into tomorrow afternoon, looking at those numbers, Borrego Springs 74 degrees, San Diego, you will be in the mid 60s. Now this is going to be the feature I was just mentioning. We have this digging trough upper level low here that is going to be bringing some cooler conditions and even some snow across the four corners. What does that mean for Southern California? Gusty winds off that offshore flow. Santa Ana winds going to be whipping across the region. Here's a quick look at the forecast along the coast. Temperatures will stay in the 70s. Quite a very inactive pattern for us in the upcoming days across the inland areas as well. Temperatures for Sunday getting to 72 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Across the higher terrain, temperatures are going to be fluctuating a little bit more here. Again, those winds are going to be a problem for some of the passes moving forward, especially Friday afternoon into Saturday afternoon. And for the deserts, 74 degrees on Friday, and then temperatures will be dropping into the upper 60s for Saturday, but eventually warming back up into the upper 70s for Monday of next week. For KPBS News, I'm Marvin Gomez.
As of now, kids under 5 years old are the only group not approved for a COVID vaccine by the FDA, but that could soon be changing. Pfizer studies have shown the dose for kids 6 to 24 months show an adequate immune response. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he hopes the vaccine could be available within a month, but expects it could take a little longer. Right now, Fauci says the time frame is up to the FDA, and Pfizer is still determining the correct dose. UC San Diego scientists want to solve one of the biggest mysteries surrounding COVID-19. How much immunity is enough to fight the virus? That's why they created the new study called ZAP COVID-19 for Neutralizing Antibody Project. Researchers are asking UCSD students and staff for a finger prick of blood when they take their school-required test for COVID, and then that blood will be tested for antibodies and compared against the individual's vaccine or infection history.
Better understand how much protection you do get from a natural infection, from a vaccine, and from boosters. Will these antibodies wane with time? Does the vaccine produce antibodies that last more than 2 or 3 months, as many of the studies suggest? Is there a reason to do a 4th or 5th booster, or should we wait for variant-specific boosters?
And the hope is getting those answers will help scientists know people's risk levels for contracting the virus, which could help with booster recommendations in the future. The study is voluntary, but researchers hope making it available when students and staff get their required COVID test makes more people want to participate. The Better Business Bureau is issuing a warning about fake COVID-19 testing sites. It comes as high demand for the tests is leading a surge in mobile testing tents and vans on street corners across the country. Jen Sullivan has the red flags to watch out for to avoid getting scammed.
Not all testing centers are created equal. The Better Business Bureau issuing a warning about fake COVID-19 testing sites popping up across the country.
We've noticed an uptick in complaints and reviews at various different testing sites around the United States.
The BBB says high demand for tests and scarce supply has opened the door to bad actors. And health officials say that's putting consumers at risk for identity theft, inaccurate or missing test results, and financial losses.
That's the real risk right now, that people are going to get your personal information and then take that and try and get more money out of you. This is really something that government needs to step in to deal with.
But with some states having a hard time keeping up their oversight, how do you avoid getting scammed? The BBB recommends you do these 3 things. Number 1, do your research. Check your state and local health department's website to find authorized no-cost testing sites in your area. Number 2, read the fine print on any documentation you're asked to sign.
If it appears that they're requesting things such as your social security number, your driver's license, or your insurance card, you might want to start asking questions.
And finally, watch out for lookalike websites. Fake facilities often spoof sites to make them look like well-known and trusted companies. And remember, you can request free COVID tests from the government at covidtest.gov. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, a look at President Biden's successes and setbacks exactly 1 year after he took office. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Supply chain issues have reached a new low. The new Girl Scout cookies named Adventurefuls are facing a shortage because of labor disruptions. The caramel-flavored cream cookies apparently were much more popular than expected. Girl Scouts have been asked to discontinue the sales of the cookie for in-person orders, though they can still be purchased online. Girl Scouts of America used 2 bakeries, one of which was experiencing a shortage of labor leading to the supply problem. The good news is some other classic favorites like Thin Mints and Tagalongs are just as accessible as ever. And tonight we end our show with a little cuteness, and we mean little. On Penguin Awareness Day today, Birch Aquarium shared a little behind-the-scenes penguin parade to show off the little blue penguins. These adorable little guys stand at only 8 to 10 inches tall, and they weigh less than 3 pounds. So basically, to put their miniature size into perspective, they're about the size of a bowling pin or even a California burrito. They're also known to dive about 800 times a day while hunting at sea. In fact, their scientific name means good little diver. The Beister family little penguins habitat is not quite open yet, but they will be ready to greet you this summer. How cute. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. I hope you have a great night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.